Right.
All right, it's allegedly going.
You've been pushing this on YouTube, right?
Yeah, for some reason the Facebook one's acting weird, so. All right. Why, hello! And welcome to issue 559 of Geek in the City on Radio. I'm coming to you live from the USS Discovery, Aaron Duran.
I'm coming to you from my house in Portland, Oregon, Beanarita.
And Cable will be joining us momentarily. But our special guests this week are...
Greg
and Lindsay.
Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's doing all right.
Yeah, doing all right.
Hanging
Doing
out.
well. Trying to stay cool.
Staying hydrated.
Hydrated, yeah.
Sweaty. Gross. All the things you want to know all about.
Yes, sweaty and gross.
Yes.
My favorite.
Your crafts.
Bean, how are you doing this week? You wanna...
Not great.
Right.
You guys already know, but just I guess to just generally put it out there because I haven't really been talking about it. My grandmother passed away Sunday morning. That's the news I woke up to, and it's because of COVID and because of where they live. It was not feasible to be there in time for any sort of funeral services, which happened the next evening. So that really sucks. I blame Trump, and yeah, I'm just trying to.
For not being able to visit, right?
Yeah. I mean, even. I mean, that's the situation in another country, but like getting to that part of Mexico is like almost a full 24-hour endeavor. It's just that like right now you aren't really allowed to wait on funeral services, especially if there's any chance that it was COVID related. And even though this is not confirmed, there was like a small percentage chance that it was. I think they categorize it that way because she had trouble. She suddenly started having trouble breathing, which, you know, right now that's the first thing anyone would think of is like, oh, it's probably COVID. But she's been on oxygen for years. So.
Right.
But yeah, so that's that. And I can't, like, for the first time in my life, I could, like, I have like financially and like lifestyle wise, I actually could have dropped everything and gone out there to be there. And it's just not feasible for a bunch of other reasons that are totally out of my control.
Right. It's because our government has handled this so horribly that Trump finally got his wall. It just is working in the other direction. We can't leave the country.
Nobody wants us, and I don't
actually,
blame
we can
them.
leave. We have nowhere we're allowed to go.
Yeah, you just fucking go out into international waters, become a citizen of nothing.
Oh no, what's that country? It's not SeaWorld. That's an amusement park. But there's a Sealand.
Yeah,
Sealand?
Sealand.
Sealand. They're old like World War II refueling stations off the coast of England that like in the 60s or 70s got like bought by this like eccentric group of people, and they declared themselves a sovereign nation. And they're literally these man-made islands.
I have never heard of this before.
It's a trippy, weird thing.
Yeah. The Principality of Sealand, or sealandgov.org.
I'd rather just start my own though. Like, what if we just start our own?
I like that. Where do you want to put it first? Let's pick a region.
I would say let's stay off of the Pacific coast, but maybe go a little further north. That way we can get away from summer again. Because I did come to the PNW to escape the concept of summer, and it has, over the decade and a half that I've been here, caught up with me. So now I just need to keep pushing on northward.
You could arguably also go really far south too, right?
That's true. I would just take it the other way around.
Thank you.
To go take to the Antarctic.
Cable's joining us. Cable, we're talking about forming our own country.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck it. It's like there's like nobody in Antarctica, right?
Yeah, but that has
No one that you know.
We know it's in Antarctica. They just refuse to reveal the truth about it.
Mm.
There's a couple interesting islands up between Russia and Alaska. I'm sure some of those taken yet.
I don't know if I want to be that close to Russia right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Hold on, let me pull up a world map here.
As much as I love the Pacific Northwest, like, what if we hang out kind of around, the Newfoundland region, kind of up on that Atlantic coast there?
Oof.
I mean, that means no more Dungeness crab, which would be a real bummer.
No,
There's
no.
so many other kinds of crab, though.
Greg's like, fuck it.
There's other crap.
Not as good.
Here's a thought. What if we just took over this one?
There's a bunch of people that are terrible in this.
Yeah.
Even if we can
Yeah.
take it over, we're still like 50% asshats. So
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Here comes Cable's little vicious streak. I know where he's going with
But
this.
they target themselves well. Oh, no, this is just where I get into the same realm as Thanos and Ra's al Ghul and, any of those other comic book villains where it's like, there's an easy way to do that. You just get rid of half of the people.
right, or
On the
10% or whatever. What
No,
percentage are we
half.
on? What percentage are we at right now? Just out of curiosity. Like,
Half.
what is?
50%. I would do away with 50% of this planet.
That'd be fine. I'm just curious how far we've gotten this year.
Yeah, but is it
Not far
random or
enough.
do we pick?
See, and this is the trick. If it's random, then anyone is fair game, and it feels more like you're giving everyone a fair shake, and everyone gets a reset, and they can all take it. If you decide, then you're a supervillain,
Yeah. You're,
and I already have the haircut for it.
Yeah, that's true. and
Super
So-
villain.
and I already technically live on a volcano.
That you do. That you do.
But
I read that Tabor could actually theoretically become active again.
yeah.
I read that too.
It's not like
considered
fully dormant. It's napping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dormant means dead volcanoes don't turn back on. A dormant one is napping.
Oh no, you're right. That is
Deep sleep. It's a heavy nap, but
It's
But
in
the
Topor.
Yeah, the day that Mount Hood goes is when it's going to trigger Tabor.
yeah.
Yeah.
chain reaction.
Mhm.
And I think well, not all of Portland, but I think most of the east side and Gresham are within range of the pyroclastic cloud. Because that's what, 80 miles, depending on the boom?
Yeah.
And the
Who watched Dante's Peak?
Yeah, right. And the day
On
that
purpose?
this goes,
How dare you? I love that
probably
movie.
Coincide somewhere with the big earthquake that's supposed to rock up here. I think it'll just be a domino effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like slippage and everything
Just comes
And then
up.
don't forget the Yellowstone supervolcano.
Ooh, yeah.
I haven't forgotten.
Yeah.
The charges are ready.
You are a
Super
super
villain.
Super villain.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's something to remember. Is probably don't want to be close to any fault lines for our new civilization.
If you're on the
Be on an
water,
island.
if you're on the water, if you're on the water, it's not as big of a deal. If you're on an island, it is a bigger deal.
Yeah.
It is the biggest deal.
The real bummer is that the most beautiful lands are also by the most geologically unstable also.
That's true.
I mean, there's
Nothing beautiful lasts, Aaron.
Also, a lot of them already belong to somebody. Leave
Right,
those,
they
leave
belong
those
to
people
no one.
alone.
what if we just take them back?
Well, when I say they belong to somebody, I mean the indigenous people.
Right. I'd say we should take our places back, but then we're back to being hot and sweaty. None of us want that.
Yeah, that's the real son of a bitch. Is like, I would really love for you to give back the other half of Mexico, but also I don't want that part of Mexico.
Right.
Look, we all got up here because we didn't want to be there anymore.
This is hot. It's so hot.
I'm
complaining now, and I'm in the Pacific Northwest.
I gotta say though, I probably watched that video about a dozen times of the hurricane blowing down the wall.
It was deeply
I
satisfying.
don't know how I missed that one. I mean, I heard about it, but I never.
Oh, soothing.
It's nice.
I mean, we could just move to Iceland.
Beatrice in the chat says, "Fuck it, let's invade Venezuela."
Still hot.
She says it is currently a nice 78 degrees.
Whoa.
Beatrice, what's the humidity like? That's the real clincher.
Yeah. This takes a lot of product, and it's still.
I guess there are discussions about, like, since the family couldn't really get together for funeral, there are talks of. Oh, you missed it, Cable. My grandmother passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's what we're on about. There was talk about getting together next year on her birthday to scatter her ashes in her hometown, which is in Venezuela. That's on the Gulf side.
Oh.
So I can scope that out. I don't really know anything about the climate, but it can't be any worse than here.
Well, I think if you're on the coast, you'd be okay.
Yeah.
Because it's basically on the southern area of the Caribbean. Kind of.
Let me get to that.
Was she
part
from,
of the
like,
map.
Caracas?
All I know is Venezuela. Not Venezuela, God damn it. Stupid chat. Veracruz.
Oh, well, that's not Venezuela.
No, sorry.
That's
no,
still Mexico.
no one in my family is from Venezuela. I just got.
I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know you
I got
were
all
like
my
part
Spanish B
Venezuelan.
words jumbled up together. No, Beatrice is talking about us invading Venezuela.
Oh.
My
that place
family
got-
is talking about going to Veracruz.
Like, I want to help her out, but that place has got a lot of problems. I mean, we're not far off.
We can
Also,
fix
man,
it if we take it over.
Yeah, if we
There's-
take it over, we'll make it the way we like it.
They're also so close to Brazil,
They'll have
which
a
is also a
different
shit show.
us.
I lived in
That-
Brazil for about a year.
So
Oh,
this
that's
is why the
right.
plan is you do away with 50% of the population and you overthrow the rest of it. Everything is a shit show. You have to take all of it over all at once, redistribute everything.
The world is
Not-
a mess, and I just need to.
Not that I think about this all the time.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I
The
used
day-
to, but now I just think about finishing this damn script.
Yep, that's fair.
Priorities.
You take over the world for a while, Cable. I'll jump in later and help out.
I've been trying.
Oh, it's for that.
Trying.
After
What would our jobs be? We all need to be minister of something.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I'm less of an invader and more of a reconstructionist. So,
You're in charge of everybody that we're keeping from the current administrations globally, and letting them do all of the things that they've been trying to do now but can't.
okay, that sounds
Because
perfect.
the people will need them once that, like, the whole point of global dictatorship is you take everything over, you fix everything, and then you give the people enough time to then overthrow you once the actual systems that you want in place are in place. I don't survive this scenario, by the way.
Okay.
It's excellent pragmatism there.
I get like a 10, 15 year tops. And then the people overthrow me and I have to be killed in the streets. It's fine. The point of this is not me getting to take over everything. It's to fix everything.
What happens to the people that overthrow you, though? Because then they won't they not be tempted by the same thing?
No, the people that we work with now, so the people that want a better world, those are the people you bring in, and they come in with the understanding of they're in charge of the revolution.
Well, we don't have to kill you. We can just put you on an island like Dr. Moreau.
Oh, I'll have done things by then that will, yes, I will have to be killed. I'll be the last person that anyone will have to kill.
Like
Because
Highlander.
I'm beheading motherfuckers left and right.
So you would be like Highlander.
Yes.
Oh, so you'd be like the Kurgan.
He has to do the necessary.
Yep.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Guillotines planet-wide.
Guillotines as far as the eye can see.
Yep. And
I
I'll
was
bet you
thinking
can guess which person is going into the guillotine face up. I want him to see it coming.
It's vicious and I love it.
What else are we talking about today?
I
Well,
think we were going to talk about D&D, weren't we?
yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
we have one very specific thing that we're going to discuss today.
yeah. Building
I-
character. It's Warlocks.
I have a thing that we
Okay.
can talk about real quick.
I know. I bought mine too.
This came out last Friday.
I bought one too.
You did? You
I had
didn't know
no
it was
idea.
coming out.
I had no idea. I walked in and saw like, oh, a ScoobyDoo board game, and then I saw wait, Mystery Mansion, and then I saw the Avalon Hill in the corner. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yep. So this was announced at the end of the last year, I think it was.
How did we miss talking about it?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe I wanted to keep it as a surprise. I don't know.
It worked.
Anyway, this is a brand new Betrayal at House on the Hill. It is definitely designed for younger players and for new people to Betrayal who maybe need less of a learning curve that Betrayal has, in that none of the characters can die. So
Well, that's cool.
yeah, unlike Betrayal where your characters end up dying, Scooby characters only get stunned because you're clearly in a G-rated version of it.
Right.
They kind of messed up if it was like, yeah, and Shaggy got disemboweled by a werewolf.
Right.
Fucking zoinks, yo.
When it comes time to trigger the haunt, once the haunt's been triggered, someone at the table can actively volunteer to be the monster. So if someone feels like they're better at it than the person who would have been picked, they can go, I'll totally do it. You can also read both rule books together once you've started the haunt so that both sides know what's going on. There's still some script that the monster just reads himself. It's usually the end game where they get to say they got away with it and did all these things, or they get to say that, and I would have gotten away with it too if they hadn't been for those meddling kids and their dog.
So every monster is inevitably if the gang wins, it's unmasked as like Old Man Perkins or whatever.
Yes. It's a game where everyone who is doing harm, everyone who is trying to get away with some awful crime, is an old white man in a mask.
Yep.
I like how some of the Irishification in the chat says, please tell me that instead of the haunt is replaced with, now let's see who you really are.
Yep.
Do each of the characters have like an ability or something? Kind of like.
So here's the fun thing. I'm going to unbox this.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's just do it. And then we'll roll into D&D. It'll be all games today.
Cool.
As you unbox this, I just want to remind people that it's still a crime that Wizards of the Coast and Avalon Hill have not at least been approached by CBS to have Betrayal at Babel 1.
Ooh.
There is such a... You could turn this into a Star Trek themed game so well.
Yep.
Betrayal, but no, to be Betrayal at the Babel conference, like that's where it always starts.
Yep.
Like that, yeah. And you just build the space station one card at a time.
I wanted to do one that was simply just space themed, where it's Betrayal at Space Station 13.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. So
because I finally played the Baldur's Gate one. That one's fun.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And it's both Betrayal and D&D.
Yeah.
Like they managed to hit that right blend. I was really happy with that.
Still haven't fucking played my Legacy, and I've owned it for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, same.
Yep.
Pretty sure mine's still in the plastic, which is embarrassing.
So you do get the punch outs for the characters. But this is my copy, so
Scooby-Doo Lego?
Scooby-Doo Lego.
Yeah. Which is better. By the way, for those who don't know, Cable has been silently collecting like old discontinued horror miniature games so that his copy of Betrayal doesn't use any tokens. He has miniatures for everything,
That's really cool.
which is pretty amazing.
One of these days, we'll be able to play it on the show.
Will we, Cable? Ever
We will.
Again?
We will.
Okay.
By hook or by crook. Or by, when I take over using my orbital space laser.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do it, and we'll be able to video it, and people can go, that's a lot of minis. So what's neat about the character cards for Scooby Betrayal is there are factoids that I have never before heard about the Scooby game. Velma is a puzzle-solving bookworm, which we all know.
Yes.
Her favorite things to do are weightlifting, reading up on mysteries, and exploring new places. Now, I got stuck at the weightlifting part and went, wait, what?
But I kind of see it. Like
that
she's kind of got them beefy arms and them chonky thighs. So
How would you
kills
know?
leg day.
She's wearing a sweater.
That big ass sweater is hiding guns that you would not believe.
Yeah. See.
And a 6-pack that would shatter glass. Oh.
And it would terrify Irma.
I don't know. It feels like they kind of shoehorned that in there, but I'm gonna go with it because I love a weightlifting nerd.
There's canonical evidence to back this up in episodes where Velma is seen physically carrying the entire team away.
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah.
Good point.
Shaggy. Shaggy is a talented chef and ventriloquist. His favorite things to do are cooking, eating, and playing hide and not seek. He's a ventriloquist?
I remember episodes where he's done that. Yeah.
Like, this is stuff that fascinates me. I never knew this. Daphne is a martial artist, motorcyclist, and excellent lock picker. Her favorite things to do are strategizing and surfing. We know nothing about this woman.
She's a rogue.
Yeah, she is.
They actually talk about they showed a lot about that in when they brought, I think it was in the 80s, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. In a weird way, it actually goes way into Daphne's background. Yep. About that, yeah.
And if you watch the newer stuff, the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, like, you meet the entire Blake family, and she's like the youngest of 3 daughters, and all 3 daughters are accomplished in their fields. One's an astrophysicist, one's a surgeon, one is a Formula One race car driver.
Is that also the one where Jeffrey Combs basically plays
Yes.
H.P. Lovecraft?
It is. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. It's totally worth it. I do agree with the criticism that Velma's characterization is completely off, but they do so many interesting things with that show.
By the way, the Scuba movie, which I did purchase to buy, like, rent, it's pretty good.
Is it? Yeah, I saw it.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Sorry.
I was interested in watching it.
I am too. Fred is a trap fanatic and novelist.
I'm sorry, did you say trap?
Trap.
Like
fanatic.
the music style?
No.
Yes.
As in making traps.
Oh, okay. I suppose that makes more sense.
Yep.
No, I like yours.
I like yours.
His favorite things to do are accessorizing, setting traps, and dancing. Knowing more about Fred just tells me that there's no way Fred or anyone else in Mystery Incorporated is heterosexual. None of them are.
I think Shaggy is considered to be asexual, right?
I've heard the same said about Fred too.
They're all some form of queer.
Yeah.
Well, I think it just recently was made canon, or like the directors of the most recent cartoon was like, oh no, Velma's totally.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what it was. Bisexual or totally lesbian?
No, she's canonically a lesbian now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also backed up by James Gunn, because when that started making the rounds, people were like, oh, so much retconning. He showed his first script from the original Scooby-Doo movie he wrote, and that's in there too, and they kept making him tone it down more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually they just got rid of her having any relationships at all.
Dumb.
But
Yeah.
movie.
ScoobyDoo, I think, is the only one that didn't have any surprises. It's a talking Great Dane with a keen sense of smell. His favorite things to do are run and hide, eat Scooby snacks, and, well, eat anything for that matter. But I think what I find strange is if you look at this illustration of Scooby, why does Scooby have a thumb?
Yeah,
It's
sometimes.
the only way to grip a magnifying glass.
Yeah. The Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. also has, I think, one of my favorite episodes and shows what they're trying to do with Scooby-Doo in that he's fighting a robot version of himself that's evil. So Scooby-Doo was the mystery, and that they found out it was a robot. They end up facing down with him, and they basically rip off both Terminator and Aliens, in that Scooby puts on a power lifter in order to fight robot Scooby. During the fight, when he finally has him on the ropes, and like Scooby is cowardly until all of his friends are threatened, and then he's an attack dog, which is weird. But as the robot dog is in this machine press, about to be squished and turned into scrap metal, Scooby just utters the line right before pushing the button. It says, "Play dead." Pushes buttons, squishes dog, goes, "Good dog." Walks off. It's like, that was cold.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but really good.
And by the way, if you can still find it, I'm sure it's in a collection now, like in a graphic novel collection.
Mhm.
But for a while, DC was putting out the Scooby-Doo team up book, the comic,
Oh,
and the Scooby-Doo team up with Batman and Robin is amazing.
Is it?
There's actually a double page spread that has all of Mystery Incorporated and Batman and Robin. They're also all the men. So Shaggy and Fred are basically versions of Nightwing, but like 70s costume Nightwing. And then all the women are 70s costume era Barbara Gordon or Batgirl. And basically Scooby is along with Ace. And it's that total hero shot where they're all leaping off a building together the way they do it. It's the most magical double page spread like I've ever seen. And it was legitimately a good story too. Like it was so much fun. So you should hunt that down. They also did a
Oh,
go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
said they also did a Batman. They did a from based on the show Batman Brave and the Bold.
Mhm.
They did a team up comic in that one too, where Ace is trying to teach Scooby how to not be afraid. And there's literally the scene where like, you know, Ace like tells Scooby, he's like, "Here's my secret. I'm always afraid." And Scooby's like, "Even Batman?" He's like, "Especially Batman. You have to fight the fear to be a hero." I mean, it was so good.
Sweet.
That's
Sorry.
pretty sweet. Last couple things about the Scooby Betrayal. It only has 25 scenarios, and the matrix is different. You actually pick a mystery card that you want to kind of follow, and then when you trigger the haunt, it's one of the 5 or 6 that's on the card rather than the big matrix.
Mm.
And and it's a smaller box, so this is only $30 rather than the $50 for the original base game. Ta-da! There you go.
That's awesome.
There's also a new Scooby-Doo escape room game, but I didn't care as much about that. Like, Betrayal is where I'm at.
How well do those like at-home escape rooms play?
I think people seem to like them. I don't.
Yeah.
Meh.
All right.
I mean, if you're just doing it in your home, it's just a timed puzzle game, right?
Yes.
I mean, that makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people are better at like turning it into like a more immersive thing, especially if you have like a nice a room that you can kind of dedicate to reworking it to fit the theme.
Yeah. My thing with that is that like once you've solved it, it's done. Like
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
mean, I know some legacy games that's the same thing, but you have like multiple games you can play before the story is complete. This one, it's like, all right, had a night of fun, presumably, and now that's it.
That's also why I'm really bummed that I've never had a chance to play all the way through or even start the Betrayal Legacy game,
Mhm.
Because apparently once you play out the entire legacy scenario, it then becomes a brand new version of Betrayal in the House on the Hill with all new scenarios.
Right.
50 new scenarios.
50. So that's crazy.
Yep.
But that part of it requires you to have done the legacy portion first.
Yeah. Because you're basically building the mythos that then the new core game plays off of.
Yeah, the 14 episodes or 14 games that you play is each one adds more house tiles to the game.
Right.
Because you only start out with, I think, 10 tiles.
Because the house grows every time,
yeah,
right?
It's a small house.
Didn't start out a mansion.
Oh, no. It started at a very, very modest home.
With 2 cats in the yard.
Poor Sack says that he had started it with some friends, who then flaked on him for a while, and then they started to get back into it this March.
Oh,
bummer. Yeah. I also like how. Go ahead, you're gonna read it.
So yeah, and Norm says "At Home Escape Room" is the name of his all-violin red jumpsuit apparatus cover band.
Damn, deep cut, Norm.
Yeah. Red jumpsuit apparatus, damn.
Now I was gonna read Norm's other comment of or Sack's other comment where it's like it's a talking dog, but thumbs are where you draw the line.
Yes, that is where we draw the line. And everyone was defending Velma lifts, bro. And also everyone is totally down with the idea of Fred having, trap playlists. So we'll make our own canon.
That's why he's always driving. He's got to control what's on the radio.
Yeah, what's the point of having that sick van if you can't make it thump? Maybe that's what I'll paint Krabby. Mystery machine.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's expensive, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to our mutual friend who's in our old D&D group who works on cars. He gave me a quote, and he said, P.S., that is the friend rate. I'm like, oh, that's expensive to get detailing done on cars. He's like, yes, it is. You want it to look good.
Yeah.
And he is very good at his job.
It's a vanity project at this point.
Yeah.
What, the van or his job?
The van.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
It's a vanity project.
It's perfectly cromulent the way it is.
Said it first.
Mute. No, just kidding.
Well, segment's canceled.
That's it. Good night, everybody.
I regret nothing.
Well, I mean, on that note, are we ready to dive in?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Just imagine that we are now hearing the Metal Hobbit theme.
Okay, got it in head.
Yes.
All
Frodo's a punk.
Well, let's just go into it then. Here we go. Warlocks.
Sorry, I just had to do it once.
These pernicious people pursue power by pairing with preternatural patrons and paranormal pacts. Warlocks plead for a piece of phenomenal presage for personal profit and prestige. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, friends. Warlocks, this is a class.
Really quick, how hard do you work on that much alliteration? Because you've opened every one of these with that.
It's usually a night.
Yeah, you would make Stan Lee very proud of that much alliteration. He's like, well done, true believer.
I was just going to assume you had these in your back pocket for years.
Yeah. He says it's about a night, but honestly, I think he cranks that out pretty quickly. And then he'll think of another thing and go back to it and fix it a little bit. But I think he gets the meat of it done within 15 minutes or so. It's really impressive.
Well, thank you.
That's real passion and talent is what that is.
Well, this class, they're a talented group of folks as well. The Warlocks are a bit of a conundrum, though. They have a unique and somewhat limiting at first glance spell selection, but a lot of depth in customization. That being said, I've never met someone who has played one and hasn't had fun. Let's go over the basics. Lindsay?
Super fun.
Yay. Okay, so Warlock is actually basically one of my favorite classes to play. On a mechanics level, it's, I would say, the easiest spellcaster to just jump in and play. So while you only get like a handful of spells at a time, you never have to juggle with like multiple spell slot levels, or you know, what did you memorize, any of that, blah blah blah. You just get a list of spells that you know. You don't have to worry about changing your spells daily, none of that. You just have them. You also have some of the most powerful damage cantrips in the game, so that's good because, you know, spellcasters are not exactly meaty and mighty physically. So yeah, the cantrips will give you that little extra boost to be well, violent, which can sometimes be fun. It is for me. It's cathartic. So yeah, it gives you a solid, reliable option for, you know, some violence between your big spells. Story-wise, I love Warlocks because there's so many different ways that your PC can find yourself in the service or favor of a myriad of different patrons. Like building those relationships can be really fun to explore. Work with your DM. There's, I will often just be like, oh, what if this?
Yeah.
Just, you know, I'm not even playing a character. I just decided. So it's a really exciting story-wise thing for me. As far as the nitty-gritty class features, hit points are D8, which is really good for a dedicated spellcaster.
Same as a rogue.
Same as a rogue, yeah. It's you're based on wisdom and charisma. Saves are going to be your biggest one. Really good for resisting mind control and paralysis, stuff like that. The trade-off is, like I mentioned before, the physical. You're soft, a little softer. Light armor proficiency, simple weapons, because again, you're not getting into the physical battle. Stick to your magic-based attacks and hide behind your party's meat wall. You'll be good to go.
Did you say meat wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Party's meat wall.
Yes.
Your
Every
tank.
party should have one. You tank.
Mm-hmm. You keep them happy, and they stay between you and the monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important.
So at first level, you gain an otherworldly patron and pack magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your patrons, you know, they're nearly godlike in power, and they'll grant their warlock some arcane abilities. Again, work with your DM to see if your patron expects favors in return for the gifts that they bestow upon you. Not even drinking tonight, folks. Or if they're even aware that you exist. When you choose your patron at first level, you gain additional options for spells based off of which patron you've made a pact with. So the first three basics, Archfey, which is like a creature of legend from the Feywild. So they're inscrutable, occasionally whimsical. They bestow spells like enchantment and teleportation and illusion stuff. Yeah, at first level, you'll gain the power to beguile the creatures around you, so you can do some fun, like, tricksy fey things.
Charm folks.
Charming, yes. You go the other way and go Fiend, which is like a demon or a devil. You struck a bargain with a powerful fiend from the lower planes. This being generally aims are evil. Even if you might strive against those aims, again, work with your DM. Could be some really juicy plot lines there. It might be an antagonistic relationship. Your patron may be seeking to corrupt you with that power that they're investing within you, you know. These are spells that evoke fire, dominating your enemies, that sort of thing. First level, you gain temporary hit points. Each time you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, you just get more powerful as you destroy people or creatures or whatever. And then the Great Old Ones is a mysterious entity whose nature is unknowable. Aaron's smirk. So it might reside beyond time and space. These patrons might not even be aware of your existence or be entirely indifferent to you, you know, drawing magic from its essence. You know, what care you what an ant does with its day? These elder gods grant magic that affects the mind, calls forth darkness and unlocks secret truths. At level 1, you gain the ability to communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You may go insane, though. Maybe that's just with my DMs.
The next set of patrons come from a couple of the other books, Xanathar's Guide, and also the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. But the first one I'm going to talk about is the Celestial, which is a power being of the upper planes, such as like an ancient Empyrean, a unicorn, or a Solar, which is a type of angel, has entered a pact with you. You can gain access to healing spells and other conjurations that evoke radiant light. When you choose this patron, you gain the light and the sacred flame cantrips, and you gain the ability to channel energy to heal wounds. So you get a pool of D6s that you can use to heal, similar to a paladin, but you can do so at range, a range of 60 feet. The amount of dice you can spend at once is equal to your charisma modifier. The next one's the Hexblade. Now, as Xanathar's Guide states, that this pact is made by a mysterious entity from the Shadowfell, but honestly, any of these patrons listed could be the benefactor of a Hexblade. The spells that become available to a warlock through the Hexblade are more martial, speeding your movement, creating wrathful smites and shields. At first level, you gain proficiency with medium armor, shields, and martial weapons. You also gain the ability to touch a weapon you're proficient with, and when you attack with it, you can use your charisma modifier for your attack and damage rolls instead of, say, strength or dexterity. Yes?
There's a question from the chat, with going back to the patron relationship. With the patron relationship, is it accurate to say that warlocks don't have levels, but rather milestones?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Look at it.
Yeah, so that's kind of up to the DM and the game you're playing, because
the spells don't really have levels. Like, the spells will level with you. But as far as advancing the character itself, they're still level based.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was supposed to. He was making a Patreon joke.
Oh, I see.
That's the last question I'm reading from him.
Jumping back in, the other cool thing with the Hexblade is you get something called a Hexblade's Curse, which is a baleful curse that when put upon a creature, you get bonus damage against them, and you get to have a critical hit on a roll of a 19 or a 20, and then you gain hit points when the target dies. So,
Nice.
And then the last patron is called the Undying, and this one is in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. This patron has unlocked the secrets of life everlasting and is willing to share those secrets with you. The spells you gain access to are mostly necromancy and divination in nature. You gain the Spare the Dying cantrip at first level, and you gain advantage on saving throws against disease. Additionally, undead have difficulty harming you. If an undead creature targets you directly with an attack or a harmful spell, the creature has to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, and if they fail, they have to choose a new target or basically forfeit their turn. On a success, the creature is immune to this effect for 24 hours. Now, the catch is a creature is also immune to this effect if you target it with an attack or a harmful spell. So that one has gotten a lot of flack from people, but mainly because it's so based around undead. If you're playing a campaign that has like all elementals and no undead, then your main abilities are like nullified. So just talk to your DM about
Always communicate with your DM.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, the next bit of Warlock flavor is Pack Magic.
Pack Magic.
So Warlock spellcasting is kind of unique, and we touched on that a little bit. You have fewer cantrips than the Sorcerer or the Wizard, and fewer spell slots. which sounds rough, but also a warlock can only cast spells at a set slot level. You can't choose to cast a first level spell at first level once your slot level selection is bumped up to second level. So if you want to break that down a little bit better, it's basically as you're leveling up with your spells, they're gonna grow with you.
With other spellcasting classes, you have like X amount of first level spells, and X amount of second level spells, and X amount of third level spells. As you gain levels, you get more spell slots in each of those higher level spells. With the warlock, just your spell, you cast spells at first level, and then eventually you cast spells at second level, and then eventually you cast spells at third level. And so there's no choice to that.
Yeah, which is, I like it, but I know it can be frustrating to some people. The other part that I like, that's sort of the trade-off of people that would get frustrated with that, is that warlocks are the only class that regain all of their expended spells after a short rest.
Yeah. So they can keep on fighting longer. A short rest in the game is only 1 hour, whereas a long rest is 8 hours. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so at level 2, you gain fragments of forbidden knowledge that imbue you with fantastic powers called invocations. You get 2 of your choice, and you continue to gain more as you level. When you level up, you are allowed to switch them out and rearrange as you choose. Or if you're solid, you're good, whatever, but it's an option. Many of the invocations create powerful spell-like effects, such as Armor of Shadows, which basically lets you cast mage armor for free on yourself at will.
No spell slot.
No spell slot. You're just done. The Eldritch Sight, which allows you to cast detect magic without expending a spell slot. There's others that can add damage or conditions, like your Eldritch Blast or whatever. Some that'll give additional proficiencies and skills, and like even more powerful boons as you grow in strength. So it kind of flavors things.
Yeah. Speaking of boons, let's talk about pack boons, which is what you get at 3rd level to further specialize your warlock by gaining a gift from your otherworldly patron at 3rd level. You've teased them enough to be granted a pact boon. So these 3 are Pact of the Chain, Pact of the Blade, and Pact of the Tome. Pact of the Chain is...
So they're all horror movie tropes.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, they are. The Pact of the Chain, you gain a monstrous familiar. You get to learn the Find Familiar spell, but in addition to the normal animals that you can summon through that spell, like, bat, cat, frog, what have you, you can have your familiar be an imp, a pseudo-dragon, a quasit, or a sprite. And you can forego an attack in combat to allow for your familiar to make...
Cable has a question.
I was going to wait till... He's good at acknowledging, that's why I raised my hand.
Oh.
What's a quasit?
Ooh. A quasit is one of my favorite monsters in the monster manual. A quasit is a demon. It is very much like an imp, but imps are devils, quasits are demons. They're different. But quasits are little rascals. They are kind of like gremlins. They like to cause mischief and mayhem.
He made one follow my character around for a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah.
It thought it
Because?
was helpful.
It was very helpful. But it can do things like take the form of mundane creatures. A quasit can turn into a bat, a toad, or a centipede. It can become invisible. And it also has an ability to impose the fear condition on a target once a day. So it's like this little guy that can go like, ah! And like scare someone.
It's helpful.
Magically compulsive to run away. They also have, it also has magic resistance and resistance to some elements and non-magical attacks. So they're actually kind of beefy, and they can really be useful in a fight.
I appreciate that Aaron put a link in the chat, and it does look like a gremlin.
Yeah,
I'm also realizing now
that wasn't me. I think every comment is from me.
Yeah, on this restream server thing.
Somebody did the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was me.
Oh, it was you.
Thank you, Bean.
Thank you.
Yeah, those guys are great.
Bean is the male Aaron now. Female Aaron. Never mind.
I also realized that I'm looking at the Warlock class on D&D Beyond. I could have just followed the link to see what the closet was. But I also like asking questions because
I like
get
having
very animated.
Yeah.
So the next pact is the Pact of the Blade. The Pact of the Blade is you can use your action to create a pact weapon in your empty hand. So you summon a blade. You choose the form of this melee weapon each time you summon it, and while you wield it, you are proficient with it. So that gets overlooked sometimes, even though a Warlock's proficiency with weapons is pretty limited. Like with Pact of the Blade, you can suddenly be proficient with a martial weapon, so long as it's that one specifically. The weapon also counts as magical, and it disappears if it's more than 5 feet away from you for 1 minute or more. And as you adventure, you can, if you come across a magical weapon like a +2 longsword or something like that, you can turn that into your pact weapon. The only exclusions are for artifacts and sentient weapons.
Do the abilities stack once if you find a stronger magical weapon and then make it your pact weapon?
So, what do you mean?
So if you have,
Do you get? I mean, is there a bonus by say you find a sword +2, and you make it your pact weapon? Does that beef it up at all, or is it just?
Not initially. I believe at higher levels, yes. I can check.
That's right.
But yeah, I believe so. The last one is the Pact of the Tome.
this is the one that I play the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you're a spookier wizard with Pact of the Tome. You're given a grimoire called the Book of Shadows, and when you gain this feature, you choose 3 cantrips from any class's spell list. While the book is on your person, you can cast these cantrips at will. If you lose it, you can create a new one by performing a ceremony for 1 hour, and the old book is destroyed. Some cantrips I would recommend, if you're thinking about going this route, are Guidance from the Cleric list, Shillelagh from the Druid list, or Vicious Mockery from the Bard.
Vicious Mockery is a favorite of mine.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of
I'm
Shillelagh.
shocked.
Right. And that's Warlocks.
Vicious Mockery has messed up many a DM's early level attacks. Someone in an old campaign maybe took out like 4 goblins all at once from Vicious Mockery.
Yeah, Vicious Mockery is great.
Oh yeah.
And so that's Warlocks. I was thinking about characters you could use to base a Warlock off of, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So there's a few. Tell me what you guys think of them. So first one that came to mind, obviously, was Raven from Teen Titans. Back to the Tome. Her patron is the Fiend, her dad.
Trigon.
Yeah. And then I also thought Squirrel Girl would be an Archfey Pact of the Chain, and Tippy Toe would be an imp that changes into a squirrel instead of a rat.
Should be a gnome so she can already talk.
Yeah, she'd be able to talk to other woodland beasts.
Nice.
Yeah, that was good. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
The character Steven Universe would be a celestial Patron, Pact of the Blade.
Hmm.
But the rest of the crystal gems would be Hexblade, Pact of the Blade.
Okay.
Interesting.
That.
Steven Universe is the only one that can heal, and that's what the Celestial
Shield.
What? Oh, I saw Cable shaking his head.
I did, because Norm posted Vicious Mockery is the name of my All Recorder Spinal Tap cover band.
It sure is, Norm.
He's so good at that.
Yes.
Trying to think of other good Warlock examples.
Sack just asked, what would Warlock from New Mutants be? And Cable said he wouldn't be. He's a non-Warlock. He's a machine. Magic, however, would be a Warlock.
Yes.
She's
From the New
definitely a
Mutants.
Warlock.
He's definitely a Warlock.
Not as familiar with the specifics on that one. Like,
Magic is Peter Rasputin's younger sister, Colossus. Her mutant power is opening portals, which has nothing to do with the fact that she's also... The portal that she opens is usually... Like, she can portal from point A to point B, but the trick is the space in between point A and point B is limbo, where demons live.
Right.
Oh,
And so by passing through there all the time, they went, hey, no, this is, you don't get to do this. And at some point along the way, she picked up a demon sword and became known as the Hellchild and kind of took over.
okay.
Yeah, like literally sometimes Hellfire follows her through a portal.
Yep.
Like just like residual, like when she closes it, like there's a bit of...
Well, then,
I think like in the late 90s, I think there was actually a joke because it used to be when Nightcrawler would bamf, there was a smell of sulfur.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a joke in the late 90s X-Men where he literally looks at her and says, well, at least when I do it, it is in natural sulfur, not evil. Because, you know, Nightcrawler.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I love Nightcrawler so much.
I would, if I wanted to make a character based off of Magic from the New Mutants, I would make her a Tiefling Warlock with the Fiend Patron and Pact of the Blade. Then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what I would do because Tieflings have an ability called Hellish Rebuke, which lets them, as a reaction, cast fire out if they get hit. And if you take Misty Step, you could absolutely flavor that to be like you're jumping through a gate through one of the 9 hells instead of the Feywild or whatever. So yeah, that's what I'd do for that one.
yeah. I agree.
But I'm curious about your question, Aaron.
Okay. Well, the whole time, let's think about, I'm trying to think of other pop
I have
culture
one.
characters. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Sabrina Spellman in like the modern iteration. I'm going to assume that this is the case for the the Archie horror comic series franchise. That this is also the case, but I haven't read those, so I'm just going to go off of stuff from the Chaos television series. She's always making deals with entities more powerful than herself in order to gain some of that power and accomplish whatever she's trying to accomplish.
I think she did Pact of the Tome.
Yeah, the new books are also, you're right, Bean. The Chilling Adventure comics, that's very much her basically her ability now.
I figured.
I know,
Pact of the Tome sounds the most appropriate.
I know I feel like we've mentioned John Constantine before, but he feels more like a warlock because all of his powers always have a price. They always are him tapping into something else.
Right. I also thought of him because he's beholden to a lot of people or entities.
Yes, he is. Everyone wants a Pizza John.
He has definitely used the concept to his advantage. But it is still, pacts, multiple pacts.
A day.
I know he's also more of a cultural character as well as a mythological persona, but the concept of Baron Samedi would maybe fall under the Warlock. I don't know. I'm trying to be. Also want to be sensitive about that because I know that is an actual icon within
Yeah.
voodoo and hoodoo religions.
I think if
I want to
Barons,
say.
well, I would think someone would make their own, like Baron Samedi would be a patron.
Okay, that actually makes more sense. You make the pact with the Baron.
Make
Actually,
a pact with him.
I would set it up that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe go with kind of a kind of archfey maybe, or
Yeah, kind of tricky.
or maybe kind of a pact of the undying actually.
Okay. Which, side note, the villain of Princess the Frog is one of the most underrated villains of Disney.
Yes.
I love him.
Mhm.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Though speaking of Disney, what would, because Maleficent draws her powers from the Fae realm.
I have seen her listed as a pop culture warlock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
She is Fae, though.
Yeah.
She is a fairy.
Yeah. I mean,
she is. That's true.
if you want to make a Maleficent, I would say use a Eladrin elf base, or maybe even the Shatter Kai, and then go back to the Fae.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
But-
do that.
Oh,
Her is she's not like she isn't beholden to any
She is
higher, godlike entity or
I-
powerful entity. She again.
I like what Sack in the chat just wrote. He said before they eliminated the countdown, Spawn from Image Comics,
Oh, absolutely.
because he drew all his power from Malbosia, like
Yes.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoa!
Absolutely.
Did someone just crash outside your house, Cable?
Someone peeled out.
Oh,
I don't know what that was all about.
gee, sorry about that.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
Spawn really fits.
Mhm.
So I really want to put together a character that is basically like a magical sugar baby, like possibly in some sort of relationship with a higher being and is getting these boons like as a like if the elder being is like my sugar daddy and being almost hapless about it.
That the patron's almost hapless about it.
Well, that the character, the PC, would be almost hapless about it and was like, "It's fine, he'll fix it." La la.
Sugar baby.
Oh, like you know what? The town guard's after us. Okay, give me a minute.
Okay, hold on.
Hold on.
I started thinking about
That's funny.
one of the characters from the Kieran Gillen comic book Die. You know how it's sort of like D&D, but it's sort of its own version. And so there's the character who's called the Godbinder,
Mm.
and all of her power comes from calling up whatever deity fits best, and basically like literally going like, okay, what's it going to cost me for you to help out with this particular situation?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's
It's a very, very transactional system in this particular case, but I mean, I think it generally fits
yeah, that's
the archetype.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Aaron, yes, there are a number of invocations that you can take if you have the Pact of the Blade that can do like give you 2 attacks on your turn, or there's another one that's Eldritch Smite that when you hit a creature with your pact weapon, you can expend a spell slot to deal additional damage. So, and you can knock it back. So, like, depending on what your pact is and what your level's at, yeah, your power definitely increases.
I've only, for all the years I've been playing, because the Warlock was introduced in 3.5 initially.
Yeah.
So 3.5 was what, 2002, 2003? So since that character was introduced, I have only played one Warlock, like ever. And it was when, and it was right before COVID hit. It was in the Orcs, like pub game. I played in Warlock there, and I had so much fun. Like the character was.
I mean, excitedly about all.
I
of
was.
the he got to it.
I was so excited. I based him on Doc Holliday from Tombstone, like specifically Val Kilmer's portrayal of Doc Holliday in Tombstone. Where like literally he kept a deck of cards because one day he was going to have to play his patron. You know, at the end of the day, when his time finally came, there was going to be one more game. And I would really love to play a Warlock again, like in a more long-term campaign. There's so much fun with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're so much fun to play, and you can do so many neat things with the story of just like, when is your patron going to call in a favor? When is enough going to be enough? Is it going to, like, are you always going to be following along with your patron going, yeah, I'm going to have to do that? When are you going to be pushed to do something that is, you know, beyond what you thought you
Outside
would
of
do?
your moral boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm never not thinking about the Dresden Files. And I know I've brought this up on multiple installments of building character, but the Warlock is actually the most apropos in terms of like pack building and like bringing in the Fae. Like they actually include the characters, Tatiana, like from the Summer Court, and the Lianchi. All of those characters are like directly involved in those stories, and he owes all of them favors, or
Yeah.
sometimes they owe him a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really fun, and like as a DM, it's enjoyable because like you can, you know, depending on what's going on. Of course, always like make sure you have a understanding with your player or whatever, that like, you know, if you so you don't pull something on them that surprises them too much. Like no one likes being like, okay, I summoned my pack blade, and you're like, nope, you don't, because remember, your patron said don't leave this town until everybody only ate the flesh of fish and not the flesh of pig or cow, and you didn't do that, so no, it doesn't appear in your hand. Like make sure you know your player to be like, oh no, and it's fun, and like,
Yeah.
oh shit, what have I done, instead of like, really? Really, Greg? Awesome. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to get a drink because my character can't do shit now. Like,
A very important conversation to have
Yeah.
With like a session 0. Yeah, Warlocks are really fun to fuck with if you've got the right attitude and understanding.
I can picture a lot of sort of like loophole situations. I'm like, no, I got you type
Right.
of situations.
yeah.
It kind of reminds me of so the miniature game War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
It also started as a role-playing game, and they had this really cool kind of sub-rule within that role-playing game, is that if you were a cleric of a certain god, if you were using your healing spells on a character or an NPC who was diametrically opposed to that religion, the god would actually punish you for casting it.
Yeah.
Of like, wait, you're going to waste my powers on the enemy? So even if you were a merciful character, because in War Machine, the whole idea is that the gods were like shitty and petty. So they like worked into the mechanic, and it was a really fun way to play that off. And I can see you doing that with your patron with a Warlock too, if you're a cruel DM or a fun DM.
Yeah, I mean, the Fae are known
Capricious.
to be, I was going to say capricious. Nice.
I was gonna
And-
go with Trixie.
And Trixie, yeah, like, so they could be like, no, I don't like that. That's I've decided I do not care for that guy or that color or whatever. So what I want you to do is get rid of him this way. Or, you know, whatever.
Well,
You know
plus within the Fae, I don't know if they have it in like the D&D rules, but I'm sure like the DM, if you have the Fae patron, you can decide, okay, are they Seelie or unseelie, and how is that going to affect
The Queen
kind
of
of
Darkness is listed as a potential patron, and she's the Queen of the Unseelie Court, and of course Queen Titania and her consort King Oberon are also listed as potential archfey.
Yeah, they could demand, you know, strange offerings.
right?
Mhm.
Uh, Greg was DMing a game with a warlock that he was having. She needed to make people have nightmares.
Yeah.
the town.
Yeah.
Just however she figured that out, she had to do it. But that's what her patron demanded of her, was cause nightmares in this town. Just because.
There was
Yeah, I
reason.
think capricious is exactly the right word.
Yeah.
For anything having to do with the Fae.
It's why you neither ever piss off the Fae or find yourselves indebted to them.
Never avoid making agreements with them as much as possible.
Oh my gosh. I got a brief story. When I was last summer, when I was doing a LARP camp with a group of kids, I played as a Fae, the Queen of Air and Darkness, and they came to see me because they had a question, because one of the other instructors, who was an elf, was kind of in deep trouble with her, and so they were asked, like, they were coming to beseech her and ask for help. And one of the kids, like, I turned to him, I was like, "I'm sorry, can I have your name?" And they were like, it's like Roxer. Like, oh, I'm sorry, can I have that one more time? Roxer? A little deaf, my dear. Give me your name once more, a little louder. Roxer. Thank you. And
You no longer have a name.
and she took his name. And it actually, like, that particular kid, I found out later, like, I was like, all right, so after the scene happened and they were able to help, I was like, okay, so she took your name. So when people talk to you and stuff, they're not going to say Roxer. They're going to see, like, my fellow torchlighter or my friend, or they'll find other names. But Roxer's name has been taken, and it turns out that was a little too much for this, like, old kid. Like, his character lost his name, and he was actually had a bit of a tough time on the ride back. It's like, my character's name is gone. They're just calling me R, or they're calling me Torchlight. My name is gone. So anyway, we worked it into the story that he got it back.
So you never give up your true name.
Exactly, and everyone was like, "We talked about this before, remember?"
Oh, that's the worst part.
It was like, I know, I just got really like.
That's actually how I amuse myself at work. So my mundane job, I'm a receptionist, and so I ask for people's names all the time, and I like to try to ask for them to give it to me. Just because it pleases me to do it. I don't want your damn name, but I want to see if you'll give it to me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you don't want it for any particular reason at all.
I don't want any of their names. They're calling me because they are in trouble. I don't want their trouble.
I mean, it can always get worse. Just because someone's on hard times doesn't mean you can't get something out of them.
True. But yeah, it pleases me to do. Like, oh sure, give me your name. Uh-huh. Thank you.
Being what you just described was capitalism.
That could be a patron. That could be a warlock. Capitalism.
We've given plenty to that patron.
I struggle with my own indoctrination every day, friend.
Now, would capitalism be
business warlock?
Would it be a great old one, a fiend, or an archfey, or a?
No, it's a bloated, self-important new god.
Also, backing up, Lindsay, I'm already a techno witch, so I can't also be a business warlock. Or can I?
Multi-class.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never multi-classed before.
I mean, you progress a little slower, but you know.
Right.
So.
But it would make me a little bit more, what's the word?
Faceted?
Spooky.
Rounded?
Jazz hands?
Jazz hands.
More diverse in my skills, I guess.
Yeah.
It would be the very Gemini thing to do.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, now I have to get new business cards made up.
Oh, cool. I hope that this it encourages folks to try their hand at the Warlock.
I definitely want to play it again. I just need someone to run a D&D game for me, he says, staring at a co-host. Mm-hmm.
I haven't played nearly enough to be at a point where I'm ready for
Nah,
that.
You know what? I played like one game before I was thrusted into becoming a DM, and it wasn't even a good character. I just basically created Nightwing.
Of course,
But it doesn't matter how much you're never going to be ready. Like, it's just like you already are. Like you're. I've seen you play as the characters that you've been in the games we've been together. Yeah, you just do that, but like, you know, on a kind of micro and macro scale, because you're playing a bunch of little characters.
That is true. Being a DM is the ultimate business coordinator.
It's true.
Don't try to play into my interests like that.
But it really is. It takes a lot of organizing and note-taking and spreadsheets.
If you want it to.
I have DMing and D&D skills. A little futzed, but definitely on my CV.
Yeah.
I would take a look at that. I would like to see what that looks like on your CV.
Organizing a team of people across time zones.
I applied for a job at Xbox once as like one of the like a creative position, and I knew that like I was vastly underqualified or experienced for it. So I was like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna have fun with it. I turned my resume into a D&D sheet.
Nice.
And they did write back to me saying, you're not qualified, but we wanted to write you because well done on the resume design. That was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think that creating a resume that looks like a character sheet would require like way too many like finite pieces of information.
It took a lot of work.
And all of the stuff on my resume is very like, ooh, I did this thing. I use a lot of big words and make it sound way more complicated than I think it is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I spent way too much time on energy on a resume that I knew wasn't gonna get me hired. Like I spent days laying out on Photoshop creating this fucking... Yeah. If I had to put that much work into real job hunting.
But actual job hunting sucks.
Meet with coworkers for weekly creativity and conflict resolution exercises. Gain necessary experience that promoted character and skill growth. Learn to quickly assess the proper tools to resolve situations.
Yeah, these are all very, very strong.
Formulate action plans and execute. I encourage character building scenarios and employ positive reinforcement.
None of that's wrong.
Yeah.
Those are all skills a DM must have.
Yeah.
By the way, Courtney says that Business Warlock is an unreleased RZA album. He's scary good at that, by the way. I kind of feel like a major record label should just hire Norm for when a band says, this is what we're calling our album. And they're like, it's not going to sell. And then they just like Norm like freelances and just comes up with album names.
Like a session musician, but for album titles.
But for copy, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, what do you call yourselves? We're the three, you know, we're the three pickers. And you're like, that's a horrible name. No,
that is a horrible name.
Get in here. And then like he comes up with a better name for them. He's like, you are Business Warlock.
Yeah,
we are.
He has to be in the right place at the right time with the right executives who can see him do this and go, oh, okay. Because otherwise that's incredibly difficult to show on paper.
It's a tough pitch.
Yeah. It's like, this is what I do.
Well, convincing a CEO of anything that's creative is a tough pitch.
Sure. That's why you have to have the right blend of executives that go, oh man, that guy. Give him.
You were about to say the right blends of herbs and spices.
Well, he can do that too. He's good at barbecue.
Part of a Facebook group that's just called Thanks, That's My Band Name now. And it's just...
Oh, don't let Norm in. He'll take it over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this repository of
He's
things,
probably already the moderator.
whatever. Yeah,
Probably a moderator. Yeah.
could be.
Oh,
Well, thank you guys for the Warlock. That's pretty dope.
yeah. Thank you so much for having us again. We've missed you.
Yeah. What
That was
classes
also,
are left?
I think, the fastest building character we've ever done.
It was very streamlined. It was good.
Thank you.
They've all been good, but this was good.
Very, very efficient.
Passionate.
What character classes are left?
Well, we have the Paladin.
Oh
and,
shit.
We also have.
I miss my big awesome Paladin. She was the best.
Let's see here.
Still my
Didn't know where
favorite
you were
character I've
going to
ever
go with
played.
that.
We've got the ones we haven't done yet are
Remember when this was? It was just 12 of them. We were just gonna get it all done last year.
yeah.
Well, we fell off that wagon pretty quickly.
Yeah, life happened and stuff got weird.
Yeah. Okay, so I think
Remember last month when it lasted 300 days?
Yeah,
I don't think we've done Bard yet, or Monk, or Paladin. I think that's it. We've done Wizard, Warlock. No, we haven't done Sorcerer either.
Here we go. I think I can list all of them. Rangers,
Yep.
Berserker,
Uh,
Druids.
Berserker, you mean
Clerics.
barbarian. Okay.
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, well, that's what you titled it, so don't look at me. Wizard, we've done Wizard. We did the Fighter.
mhm.
We've done Thief.
Oh, and now we're looking at 2010 stuff. So I didn't see Thief on there.
We did
that's
Rogue.
Rogue.
We did Rogue.
Oh, okay. I've already lost track of what I said. That was on you guys to keep track of.
Sorcerer, Wizard.
No, we've done Wizards
Oh, we did
because
Wizards.
we did the first four, which
That's right.
was the Fighter, Cleric, Wizard, and Rogue, and then we've done after we did those four, we did Barbarians, Druids, Rangers, and Warlocks. So what's left is Sorcerers, Paladins, Monks, and Bards. That's right.
And that makes 12?
Yeah.
All right, here's how we can figure out the next one that we do.
Are you going to roll for it?
Yeah. So Monk is 1, Paladin is 2, Sorcerer is 3, Bard is 4. I've got a D4 here. 3, Sorcerer.
All right.
All right.
Done and done.
Here we go. Sorcerer. Awesome. Well, we'll see
All right.
you next time with building character on sorcerers.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a date soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we have any special plans for next week, do we? I mean, we'll have the show, but
We don't have anything planned.
maybe I'll reach out to that certain Australian artist.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a good
See
idea.
if she can join.
That was fake.
Yeah. We've literally only talked about one Australian artist on the show, so
Which is a shame.
I only know of one.
I
mean,
know,
I'm sure
like we should like expand our Australian horizons.
If you're an Australian or New Zealand comic book artist, reach out. gitcradio@gmail.com. If you're a fun person, maybe we'll have you on the show. That's all I got on that one.
That is all. Also, Australia only has one horizon. We only ever have one horizon.
Who said horizon?
I did.
Oh.
It's like a minute ago.
I didn't understand what that meant, though, so that's why I couldn't figure out what you meant.
It's not important.
Yeah, but their horizon goes the other direction.
Fact.
Do you know their toilets actually don't swirl the other way? That's a complete fallacy.
The water does not go the other way south of the
No.
equator.
But I believed that until like my mid-20s.
Yeah, that was a really disappointing thing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I heard about that as a child, and I don't know that I ever really thought about it again.
I mean, it just made sense.
That's why I didn't question it. It made sense.
It would go the other direction. I mean,
yeah, that and drop bears.
Yeah.
Drop bears will fucking kill you.
But like, think about it. Why does it? What makes it make sense?
Nothing. It's child logic.
Nothing, because when you grow up in America, because you look at the same globe and the same map your entire life, we are north, they are south, even though that is completely irrelevant when it comes to space.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there is a north and south in terms of celestial things because we have the poles and gravity, but once you get out in space, you have to create the Z, Y, and X axis, but it's like that episode of West Wing where that guy shows up and tries to get the United States to quit using the Mercadian map or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he spreads the map out about how the Earth actually looks, but he also flips it over so that like Africa is like, and South America is on quote top. Actually, I think it's Dr. Phlox, the actor.
It is.
Wait,
it
It's
is
that
him.
would be
Billingsley.
John
weird
Billingsley.
if you put.
Well, because
oh, I'm sorry. You flip it this way,
yeah.
not
So-
like.
So the actress, she's like also like, why is the map upside down? He's like, there's no upside down in space. What does it matter what this looks like? And she said, because it's freaking me out. You're right. Yeah, it's John Billingsley is the cartographer that's trying to get the United States to change how maps are laid out.
By turning it the other way around?
Well, and he also shows the actual size because the current map we use
Mm-hmm.
shows it basically, because, and there's a reason why you do it that way for navigation, especially like back before there was fucking GPS, you needed that. But it also, on a social and mental level, makes us think that continents like Africa are not as important as places like Russia or the United States, because the way the map lays out, the United States looks to be like 3/4 the size of Africa when it's like not. You can fit all of, I think, North America, Europe, and like parts of India all in the African continent because it's massive.
Mm-hmm.
But because the way the map is laid, and also like Greenland's not that big. I think it's like the size of like Oregon. But the way the map stretches out, the farther on the poles you get, yeah. There you go.
Trying to like zoom out of this world map as much as possible. Oh yeah, Greenland looks enormous.
Yeah, and it's really not.
Yeah, if you just write like what should the map of the world look like, it has the has a really good image, and it's weird looking at it because it's like the United States isn't straight up and down; it's off at a jaunty angle, and and it's not in the center; it's off to the side, and it's like, well,
and there's like weird little things like you look at Europe, and Europe looks huge, and Europe's big, whatever. But like you also got to realize that the same amount of time it takes you to drive from like the Northern California border to like the Mexico border, you can cross like half of Europe in the same amount of time. Like it's just
with the map we have now.
So like I'm just on Google Maps and I like just zoomed all the way out so I can see everything. You absolutely can fit the entire North American continent into Africa.
Yeah, Africa's huge.
You have to like push all those other like North islands, like kind of squish them together.
Well, yeah, you got a
but Pangea,
bit,
so they all sort of fit together like puzzle pieces anyway.
Yeah, and like Russia's not as big as the map makes it look. Like Russia's, I mean, it's big, but it's not that big.
Nope. It does look enormous. It definitely looks bigger than the United States.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
According to this map, you could fit all of the other European countries, all of the Middle Eastern and Asian countries in there, and probably still have plenty of room for most of Africa. Yep. Well, maps are stupid. Our maps are stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All in eccentric maps are stupid.
Yeah. Also, I think Australia and the United States are physically the same size, like land mass.
Cool.
And see, that I can easily agree with based on the current map illustration.
Anyway, it's
It's a weird
way
note to end on.
So weird. I was gonna say a weird way to wrap up the show. Well, D&D. There's a lot of map making in D&D.
Cartographers in the city.
Mhm. I remember reading the original D&D handbook. It was like, make your players draw their own maps.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, not like necessarily overarching like world maps, but like if you're in the dungeon, like having a cartographer that like drew out the map was.
Yeah, the old D&D rulebooks literally said like have someone who is good at cartography, and the DM, it's your job to adequately explain the room so they draw it correctly.
Actually, I know I scoffed at that at first, but I would love that job.
Up
Good to know.
until
Because it's diagramming.
Yeah.
You describe it and I make the diagram. And I like to be very precise in my diagram.
All right, you know what? You say that now, but our next Ravenloft game, I'm going to throw that too. I'm just going to describe the room, and you're
If
on
you
your
put
own.
me in charge of the map stuff, then I'm just going to go to that other website that you keep not getting to and learn how to do that, and I'll make the maps with that.
How dare you?
up until very, very recently, I always had some graph paper in with my D&D stuff, just out of habit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be an alternative. Is like if we didn't have the technology to use online maps, I guess online D&D maps, but you wanted me to draw the map that you described, I would just like get another camera and like bust out my graph paper.
It's a good idea.
It's actually kind of fun. I've done it with a group as well. Like I described the room and I mentioned like, all right, so it's 30 feet. If the room is 15 feet wide by 30 feet long, and it's got sconces and blah 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 or whatever. Like and
sconces.
Sconces on the wall.
Oh yeah, I'm already like mentally counting the boxes.
Sconces and braziers, just lights all over the place.
Yeah, I like a well lit dungeon. You know why? Because it means there's something living down there.
Yeah. I like a good shadowy dungeon. There's something living down there, but you shouldn't be down there bugging it. Nope. All right. Well, on that note, I feel like we should wrap up the show this week. Greg and Lindsay, thank you again for another wonderful installment of Building Character.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I guess all that's left to say is that I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Bannerita.
I'm Cable Hashitani.
And remember, Ted Wheeler, you need to fucking resign. Bye. Okay, we stopped recording.